What went wrong in the Eagles versus Steelers game, a preview of Ravens versus Eagles, and Tom Brady forgets how to play the sport he's considered the greatest in. I'm Austin Bennett, and this is the Philly Cheese Take. All right, welcome to episode 2 of the Philly Cheese Take. We've got a lot to talk about tonight. We've got four topics we're going to be covering tonight. I'm very excited. We're even going to have a special guest joining the show in just a minute here, so stay tuned for that. Let's jump right into it. Let's talk about the elephant in the room. The Eagles lost to the Steelers this Sunday. It was a closer game than I think anyone anticipated, whether you thought the Eagles were going to win or the Steelers were going to win. But the Steelers came out on top in this one, 38-29. It was, again, just a decent game for the Eagles. And that'll get you wins against teams like the 49ers without, a running back, a quarterback, and one of their defensive linemen, but it's not going to get you a win against the Steelers. Wentz finished 20 for 35 with 258 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. Although those interceptions, I would like to argue that neither of them really should have happened. We'll talk about one of them in just a moment. But there was one at the end of the game where it was really just a Hail Mary throw right to a safety for the Steelers. So, nevertheless, interceptions continue to be an issue for Carson Wentz. Miles Sanders finished 11 carries for 80 yards. Honestly, not that bad. 2 touchdowns now when you consider he did have a 74-yard breakout run. Then you look at it, he was 10 for 6 yards. So that's not great, but overall stat line still pretty decent. And then Travis Fulgham, ladies and gentlemen, this guy's not a fluke. This guy's not, he did not just have one good game against the 49ers. He's a serious wide receiver. He finished 10 catches for 152 yards and a touchdown against what is considered by many to be the best defense in the league. So for a guy who came off the practice squad 2 weeks ago to put up that kind of a performance is extremely encouraging for the Eagles. And then for the Steelers, Ben Roethlisberger finished 27 for 34, only 7 incompletions, so really good day for him. 239 yards and 3 passing touchdowns, all to Chase Claypool, who had 7 catches for 110 yards and 3 touchdowns, and then 3 carries for 6 yards and a touchdown. And then for James Conner, believe it or not, he was not the team's leader in rushing yards this game. It was actually Ray McLeod with 2 carries and 63 yards. But James Conner finished with 15 carries and 44 yards along with 1 touchdown. So as I covered last week, the Eagles, they hit 2 out of 4 of the points I made that they needed to complete in order to win this game. They limited James Conner, only 1 touchdown and 44 yards. And they contained Juju Smith-Schuster. I didn't even talk about him. Instead, it was Chase Claypool. And he had, I would argue, maybe a greater effect than Juju Smith-Schuster would have had. But nevertheless, they hit those 2 points. Of course, the other 2 that they missed was the interceptions by Carson Wentz, and then our next, not our next topic, but a topic I'll be bringing up in a second, those horrendous linebackers for the Eagles. So let's talk about what went wrong for the Eagles. Number 1, the refs, and this was not only an issue for the Eagles, it was an issue for the Steelers as well. This was really just the second worst officiating I've watched in the Eagles game ever. Obviously, I can only really remember vividly games within the last 5 years maybe. But the only one that beats this is Panthers-Eagles Thursday night in that Super Bowl season for the Eagles. Eagles actually ended up winning it, and I think the ratio for penalties was like 13-1 that game. The Panthers only had 1 penalty, and it was for 2 yards, so that was the worst I've ever seen. But this one was a very close second. 2 touchdowns and 1 interception against the Eagles that really shouldn't have happened. You had a face mask by Chase Claypool, 1 touchdown. You had a pass interference on Darius Slay that shouldn't have been that led to a touchdown. And then there was illegal contact made on Zach Ertz that led to an interception. And then on the Steelers side, they had a lot more smaller penalties like false starts and holdings and things like that. And then they also had that fumble call against Ebron. I cannot remember his first name. I apologize for that. But their tight end. I personally did think that was a fumble. They ruled it a fumble on the field and then looked at it in the review booth and confirmed that. But a lot of people, including my dad, were saying that they didn't think it was a fumble. They thought that was a bit of a sketchy call. So I think it honestly depends on the way you look at that. So that's the first issue for mainly the Eagles, but for both teams I came. The officiating was horrendous. Second point I want to make is the linebackers. This has been a recurring theme for 4 games now. You had the Rams, you had the Bengals, you had the 49ers where George Kittle went off, and now you have the game against the Steelers where both Ebron and Chase Claypool obviously had good games. And this one I wrote on the notes featuring Jim Schwartz because not only was it the linebacker's fault, it was also Jim Schwartz's fault with just the defensive game plan and execution this game. He decided to match up Nathan Gerry with Chase Claypool. Nathan Gerry makes $500,000 a year playing football. So that's a red flag right there. This guy's not great. And it shows. For 4 games straight now, he's been playing atrocious. Atrocious. I don't know why they keep putting him on that football field for crying out loud. I mean, there's got to be, you see Travis Fulgham, there has to be someone on that practice squad that plays better than Nathan Gerry. 4 touchdowns for Chase Claypool. 4 touchdowns for a single player, and that's not a quarterback. That's not a quarterback. That just doesn't happen. So joining me now on the show to discuss that matchup and more is one of my very good friends. I've known him for years upon years. We went to preschool together. He actually has played football unlike me, so he can bring some insight in there. And he also happens to be a big Steelers fan. Cam, welcome to the show. How you doing tonight, man?
Yo, what's up, bro? How you doing? I'm doing pretty good right now.
I'm doing okay. Better than the Eagles. That's for sure. So
too hard.
So tell me what you saw. Tell me what you were seeing watching that game on Sunday night or Sunday afternoon rather with Chase Claypool.
What I saw the Steelers with another great second-round draft pick. First is Juju, now Chase Claypool. He showed that if you don't put an elite corner on him, he's going to just torch you. 3 receiving touchdowns. He also showed he's a dual threat with a rushing touchdown. How many wide receivers do you know get a rushing touchdown like that?
The last one I can think of, and you're going to have to remind me his name, was the amazing wide receiver for the Panthers back when Cam Newton was going crazy. I think he was number 10. You remember that guy?
You're not talking about Steve Smith, right?
No. Gosh, his name is on the tip of my tongue.
Ted
Ginn. Do you remember those end-around plays they ran all season long during that almost undefeated season, running like crazy?
Yeah, he's a speed demon.
Yeah, that is who Chase Claypool reminded me of that game. It was kind of crazy. So let me ask you this. Do you think, because I certainly do you think as someone who's played football before, you played defense, correct? Yep. Do you think that if someone like a Jalen Mills or Rodney McLeod would have been a better matchup against Chase Claypool?
Anybody would have been a better matchup.
I'm definitely with you on that one.
You could have put in a wide receiver to go out there. At least you would have been fast.
Yeah. Dude,
it was a horrible.
That's what I'm saying. I'm telling you, there has to be someone on this Eagles practice squad or bench, therefore, or rather, that is better than Nathan Gerry. It's been 4 weeks straight. I don't know when it's going to hit them that this guy is bad.
He shouldn't even be on the starting roster.
No.
He could barely be a practice squad player.
And you know what? You know what's the worst part about all this? And I found this out just yesterday morning. You want to know the reason why he's out there every single snap?
I would love to know. Because I have no clue.
You know how they lost Malcolm Jenkins this offseason, and he was the play caller?
Yeah.
For the defense? Guess who it is now? Guess who is the quarterback of the defense? Nathan Gerry.
I don't even know.
It's Nathan Gerry. He's the one out there in the huddle every single snap telling them what the play is. I don't understand why you can't have a Brandon Graham, a Fletcher Cox, a Darius Slay, or a Malik Jackson doing that instead. Why in the world would you entrust Nathan Gerry to be on the field every single play and telling the team what the play is? It doesn't make any sense to me. It makes zero sense. And that's why I'm talking about Jim Schwartz. Horrific coaching really throughout the whole season. Both with the game plan, with the personnel, with the play calling. It has all been awful. This defense back in 2017, that Super Bowl season, was the whole reason they won the Super Bowl. You got that strip sack by Brandon Graham in the fourth quarter that sealed the deal. You had that great defensive line rotation. You had the great leadership from Malcolm Jenkins. The linebackers despite injuries to Jordan Hicks and other members like Nathan Gerry, they were able to rebound because of players on the practice squad getting out there and playing their best. I don't understand what happened, what went wrong, why they went away from what they've been doing the last few seasons. Who's to blame? I think it's got to be Jim Schwartz.
He's made some horrible play calls. Like that third and six you told me about earlier. You do not want to blitz four people on third and six unless you have the literal God squad of blitzers. Unless you got like freaking Ray Lewis coming out of retirement to help you blitz, you don't want to do that.
Exactly. It was 3rd and 6, 10 minutes into the game, in the middle of the field, and you blitz seven runners or defensive men. I think maybe the only reason that could ever result in a good way is because all three of the linebackers on the field are blitzing, and you don't have to rely on coverage with them. That's the only way you get anything good out of that. It was stupid.
It really didn't make sense. You only do that against the horrible offensive line.
Yeah, and remind me, do the Steelers have a horrible offensive line?
They don't have the best, but they're just pretty good.
Yeah, no. Who's is it? Mike Pouncey or Maurice? What? Who Pouncey is the center?
Oh my!
I can't remember his first name. It's Mike.
We have Mike Pouncey.
Mike Pouncey. He has a brother in the league as well. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
so that's where I was tripping up. Yeah, that guy's pretty good. So he's at least 1/5 of the offensive line. Anyways, let's talk about the next topic. Carson Wentz, I said, was another area where the Eagles went wrong, but I put kinda beside that on my notes because he played better. There's no doubt about that with his stats, over 250 yards, 2 touchdowns, around a 60% completion rate, which is right where you want to be. But he's still taking way too many sacks. He's still throwing multiple interceptions a game. He averages, I think, 1.8 interceptions a game right now, 5 games in. And something I saw was, unlike last week against the 49ers, I don't think he ran a single time this game.
Yeah, I'm not sure how much he ran, but it wasn't enough to suffice. He was looking scared out there to run. I think he's afraid of getting injured again, but the reason he was a good quarterback was his ability to be a dual threat, get you with the run, get you with the pass. But now, without his running, his throwing isn't there all the way.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think, again, the only good you could get out of him not running this game was that he wasn't forcing anything like you saw early that Super Bowl year. And really what led to his injury, he would run whenever the play deteriorated and he was feeling pressure instead of throwing the ball away. Or even sometimes taking the sack is okay when it's 2 or 3 yards. But he's really flip-flopped that since the injury. I don't know which one is better. Because if he runs too much, he's going to fumble more. And if he never runs, the secondary for the other team can just be the secondary and pick them off. So I think they definitely need to find a balance, and that's more that game plan and execution that needs to be fixed.
Yeah, I have to agree with you there. They are neither of them is really good. He needs to find a balance of when to know when to run and when to know when to throw, and when to know when to take a sack. Because some of their sacks he took were not smart.
I completely agree with you there. All right, Cam. Thank you so much for joining the show. His YouTube is CamTheHam. Go check him out. He posts, what do you post? Call of Duty, 2K, a little bit of Fortnite.
I post anything under the sun.
Anything under the sun. That's right. If you are interested in content about anything under the sun, which I think applies to 100% of my listeners, go check him out, CamTheHam on YouTube. Thank you so much, Cam. Have a great night.
No problem. It's been an honor. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Cam. Now on to our next topic of the night. Ravens versus Eagles next week, next Sunday, 1 p.m. Just got word this morning that fans will be in attendance this game. There's going to be about 7 to 8,000 fans in attendance, 10% capacity. Honestly, as of right now, I feel bad for those fans because they are probably going to witness a loss. I don't know. I need to have a positive mindset, but I was going through my notes for this episode, and I was coming together with ways they can win this game, and my first thought was, I have no clue. I really have no idea how they win this game. According to TeamRankings.com, which is where I get a lot of my Eagles and NFL stats from, go check them out. Not sponsored, but pretty great website. They have a 22% chance to win, and according to ESPN's Football Power Index, they have a 26% chance to win. So I've got 3 points that I kind of threw together of how they make this a close game. Number one, this one was kind of a joke, but trade for a new linebacker, because maybe they do what I was talking about earlier and bring up a guy from the practice squad. I mean, I have no idea how you fix the situation with the linebackers. I saw a stat on ESPN. They have the cheapest, I think it was, linebacker core in all of NFL, starting linebacker core. Combined $4.3 million in salary each year. So I don't see how anyone at the Eagles organization thought that was a good idea. That, three starters who combine for $4 million a year would be enough for this team that's trying to win a Super Bowl. Well, that's obviously the goal every season, is to win a Super Bowl. So I don't know how they saw that working out at all. So there's the first point I wanted to make, was not necessarily start a new linebacker because he's the play caller. You have to have Nathan Gerry out there, but maybe rotate a couple guys in, get a feel for how they're looking. I would assume they are going to do better than the linebackers we have now, because I really don't know how you get worse. But I'd like to see a bit of a change there. Maybe not a full replacement right away, but definitely start rotating new guys in and get a feel for them. Second point I made, Alshon Jeffrey and Deshaun Jackson need to return. Not necessarily both of them, although both of them are on track to return this week as far as I've seen. But it'd be nice to have both. And the reason I said that is we need threats. We need offensive threats other than Carson Wentz, Miles Sanders, and now Travis Fulgham and Greg Ward, right? Because, well, I guess you can add in Zach Ertz, but he's been completely shut down by defenses this season, and I'm just going to assume that the Ravens are going to be capable of continuing that trend. But that's just 4 guys you have to worry about on the field out of 11. So I think you need to add some weapons in there to kind of shake up the defensive game plan for the Ravens, because right now they can just look at film, look at what the Eagles have been doing on offense, and just copycat that. It's a copycat league, as everyone says. So Alshon Jeffrey, I think I saw that he's going to be good to go this week as far as I've seen. They were talking about a return last week for him on Sunday against the Ravens, so I'm hoping he's good to go. And then Deshaun Jackson will be a game time decision. Even if he doesn't play the majority of snaps, just having him out there to shake it up a little bit, keep the defense on their toes, is a bit of maybe a surprise factor. Would be nice. So maybe it benefits them that it's a game time decision if he's able to go. And then number 3, contain Lamar Jackson. Obviously, I'm not talking to the linebackers when I say that because that's just a fantasy. But defensive line has been doing a pretty good job against all the quarterbacks they've played against this season. They're number 1 in the league in sacks right now, believe it or not. So just keep doing what they're doing there. I would argue they're the best defensive line in the league potentially. Fletcher Cox is playing pretty well. You got guys like Brandon Graham, Malik Jackson, Derek Barnett out there, and they have a great rotation. So if they can get a couple sacks in here and there and contain Lamar Jackson, keep him from running all over the place, I think that they could see a little bit of success on the defensive side. Especially if you force him to make a couple errant throws, maybe get an interception or two. You're definitely going to have to win the turnover game in order to win this game. There's no doubt about it. I mean win it. Win it. Not, trade 2-2 or maybe have one less turnover go your way. You have to win the turnover battle in order to win this game. There's no other way you're going to be able to. You have to have more offensive, what's the word? Offensive, more potential to score, more opportunities on the offensive side than the Ravens. That's the word. Sorry, more opportunities to score than the Ravens if they're going to come out of here with a win. I'm sorry I don't have a lot for this topic. I mean, I really just, and I'm probably the most optimistic Philadelphia sports fan you'll ever know that isn't stupid about it, right? I'm not stupid like, oh my gosh, the Phillies. Did you see the Phillies last night? They're winning the World Series. They're not even in the playoffs, okay? But I always try to find a situation where the Philly sports team, whoever it is, can come out on top. I really don't see how they win this game. I don't. It's going to take a lot. It's going to take a lot of work from them. They're definitely going to have to out-hustle, out-perform the other team. I mean, that's kind of obvious with football games, but the Ravens definitely going to have to be off of their A game this week in order for the Eagles to win. All right, next topic. We talked about it in the intro. This is a little bit of an in case you missed it. I'm sure most of you guys have seen it now. It's been a week that it's been out. But on Thursday night against the Bears with 1 minute left in the game, around midfield, Tom Brady forgot what down it was. It was 4th and 5, 38 seconds left. You're at your own 41, it looks like, yard line here. You need 5 yards to keep the drive alive, preferably out of bounds because you're out of timeouts. He completely forgets what down it is, thinks it's 3rd down, throws a 20-yard pass to, I believe, his tight end. It's incomplete, turnover on downs, Bears get the ball, and take a listen to what's going on with Tom Brady here.
I don't know if Brady, I think the way Brady reacted and hold up his I think he thought it was 3rd down.
Yeah, Brady's still standing out there. But that's 4th down, and it's Chicago's ball.
The supposed, and I don't disagree with it, GOAT, greatest of all time in this sport, forgets what down it is in the last minute of a 1-point football game. What? Hello? This was like J.R. Smith in the NBA Finals against the Warriors. This is what this was. Really. I couldn't believe it when I read about it the next morning. Obviously, I'm not staying up till past 11 to watch Bears Buccaneers, but that was kind of surreal. I could not believe that actually was a thing, and I saw it on SportsCenter the next morning, and I was like, that's peculiar. I really, I don't know. I don't know what happened there. You'd think Tom Brady is the least likely guy ever to do something like that, but he did it. But it just shows that he's human, man. He's not some sort of computer just out there slinging it all over the place. So, but I thought that was kind of funny. So there you go. In case you missed that, the full clip can be found on YouTube by Highlight Heaven. Go check them out. Pretty good channel. I watch them a lot. Anyways, last topic tonight. The Falcons. Second week in a row we're talking about them, and I think this is starting to become a theme now. They lost to the Panthers 23-16. Again, a score that sounds somewhat close, kind of like the Falcons-Packers game, where they only lost by 14, but it really was a lot more than that. And it was obvious because afterwards, just 9 hours after the start of the game, Dan Quinn and the Falcons GM, Thomas Dimitroff, were both fired from the team, which I don't think that's good for the team right now, because obviously you got to figure out an interim head coach, which would have to be from your own system. They're going to use their defensive coordinator. I don't know his name. I'm sorry, but they're going to use their defensive coordinator that they have right now to replace him. So that won't really help the team a ton, but this will benefit the team in the long run. Head coaching position, simply because, it's been 6 seasons now, believe it or not, 6 years since he was hired. And all he's really got under his belt is a Super Bowl appearance where they were up 25 points and lost. That's it. That's the only thing he really has to lean on. Of course, before that, he had a good tenure with the Legion of Boom and the Seattle Seahawks as defensive coordinator. But that's it. That's all he can really brag about in his coaching career. He really hasn't done a ton. And Thomas Dimitroff, he's the GM for the team. I mean, he obviously is integrated with the trades done by the team, free agency, draft, which I've never really felt like he's done a great job with the draft, so they can get some improvement there, I think. But overall, I'm going to be honest, as someone who enjoys it more than anyone else, more than any Saints fan, to see the Falcons lose every week, it's starting to get sad now, though. I'm starting to actually legitimately feel bad for Falcons fans, which has really never happened to me before, and it's kind of weird thinking about it now. But I look at this schedule that they have coming up, and I'll have you guys tell me what games are they winning. All right, they've got the Vikings, the Lions at home, Panthers at home, Broncos, Saints at home, Raiders at home, Saints again at home, Chargers, Buccaneers at home, Chiefs at home, Chiefs away, and then Buccaneers. I do not see them winning any of those games. So I know I said last week that don't worry, Falcons fans, it's not going to be forever. They're going to get a win. I don't take back the first part of that, because obviously it's not going to be forever. They're not forever going to lose. But I take back the second part. They might very well go 0-16, okay? Brace yourselves, Falcons fans, because that very well may be happening, okay? I think the only way they get a single win this season is in Week 17 against those Buccaneers, and that's only if Tampa Bay is resting their entire team for the playoffs, which you got to think is somewhat unlikely, because NFC South is still very much competitive as of right now. 3 teams battling for first place, and even at the end of the season, when you look at seeding, I think the Buccaneers are still going to be fighting for the the next highest seed, whether that be number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. Well, not number 4, obviously, if they're going to win the division. But number 1, 2, or 3, they're probably going to be playing their starters week 17. So, again, brace yourselves, Falcons fans. This might be the worst and the worst season that the Falcons have ever had, and maybe any NFL team has ever had, depending on what the Jets do this season. And there's a new contender against the Jets for the number 1 pick. It's the Atlanta Falcons. Who would have thought that going into the season this season? I didn't think that the Falcons were a Super Bowl contender going into the season. I didn't think they were really even a playoff contender this year. But no one saw them contending for the number 1 pick in the NFL draft. That sentence coming out of my mouth right now is kind of crazy. The Atlanta Falcons, with Julio Jones, Matt Ryan, Todd Gurley, Takk McKinley, what's his name? Grady Jarrett. That team, Calvin Ridley, throw in the names, Alex Mack, that team is fighting for the number 1 pick right now. That's unbelievable. It's crazy. But it's the truth. It's the reality now. That's the reality for the Falcons now. Because what else are you going to do? I mean, you're not going to not go for Trevor Lawrence at this point, right? Arthur Blank has already said it. He's not set on Matt Ryan being the starting quarterback the rest of the season. Obviously, he's going to start week 6. I'm not saying that they're benching him right now, but he said he's not committed to Matt Ryan this full season. You still got him for 3 years. You still got him until 2023, by the way, in case you forgot that. But not only do I think you, how do I phrase this? Not only do I think that they should tank right now, and they will tank because they're already 0-5, they're a quarter of the way there. But even if they did try, I won't go through the schedule again, but even if they do try to win games, when are they going to win any of them? I seriously don't see them winning any of those matchups. I really don't. So, this season is going to be a very long one for Falcons fans. So, just hunker down. Only 11 more weeks, man. We'll be counting them off every episode for you guys, just to let you know how much closer you are till the end of the season, because it's not going to be a fun one for you guys, and I'm really sorry for y'all. I enjoy the Falcons struggling, I enjoy the Falcons losing, but I don't enjoy any team going 0-16, because at that point, not only does it not get entertaining for the fans of that team, it's no longer entertaining for me, because if you lose 16 games straight, then it gets boring, So hang in there, Falcons fans. I shouldn't even say it's going to be okay, because I really don't know. It's a tough position y'all are in, and while the Eagles aren't that much better, I'm glad we're not in y'all's position. So I guess shout out to the Falcons fans that are still Falcons fans, because y'all are the real ones, man. Y'all are the real ones for sticking with this team. Yeah. All right. That's it for episode 2 of the Philly Cheese Take. Thank you so much for listening. And hey, if you don't want to miss any of the future episodes, because it's not certain which night we release these on, or I release these on, because of the fact that I have a job, I have high school, I'm involved in multiple sports, I'm involved in Boy Scouts. It's not certain which night of the week I'll be dropping these every week. So if you want to stay informed and make sure you never miss an episode, if you're listening on SoundCloud right now, go ahead, follow the profile so you never miss an episode. If you're listening on YouTube right now, you should already be subscribed. Might as well turn on notifications while you're there so that you're always informed of when I release a new episode. And I don't know if I'll be able to release these on Spotify or Apple Podcasts just yet, But if I do figure that out and am able to, go ahead, subscribe to the podcast. It's free, and you'll automatically have the next episode ready to go as soon as it comes out. How cool is that? So there you guys have it. Again, thank you so much for listening. I hope you guys have a great week, and I will see you guys, or talk to you guys, next week.